My name is Matt Desmere. I run a small creative consultancy in the conurbation, which is my way of saying Poole, not Bournemouth, called Wise Old Uncle. Now, predominantly, we provide creative economy sort of consultancy services to public sector, the likes of UK Trade and Investment, Bournemouth Borough Council, Creative England, and those sorts of organisations. So I'm not here to sell you anything, which is good. We also produce a digital innovation conference in Bournemouth each year. It's called Silicon Beach. The next one's going to be on the 5th and 6th of September. Watch this space, get a ticket, it's going to be ace. And I'm one of the principal architects behind an organisation called MeetDraw. Now, MeetDraw is a collection of over 300 creative and digital media companies across Bournemouth, Dorset and Poole. And so I spend all day, every day working with these kinds of companies, and there is a huge amount of them in this area, which is why this idea of superfast fibre optic broadband is brilliant for the area. These guys employ over 2,500 people. They contribute over £250 million to the local economy. So the fact that they're here and the fact that we've got superfast broadband here means there's going to be an awful lot of business. So that's kind of why I'm here to talk to you about this. So that is superfast fibre optic broadband. That's it. By the summer, it should be covering about 98% or thereabouts of Bournemouth. So there'll be potential access for everybody to it. This is part of a national programme that the UK government are investing £500 million in, ensuring that 90 to 95% of the country can get access to superfast broadband. The entire project is supposed to be finished by 2015, although it's been pushed back to about 2016 now. Bournemouth's still on track to be at the end of the summer. We're actually in a race with, I think it's Derby, Dundee and Nottingham to see which town becomes the first pure fibre optic broadband town in the country. So this is a great thing for Bournemouth. And I guess I'm here to tell you why. It's always kind of difficult to judge an audience about what you may or may not know. To all intents and purposes, superfast fibre optic broadband is broadband but faster. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm going to tell you about some of the business benefits, some of the cost efficiencies and savings you can make with these things. But the real benefits come from the things you probably can't even begin to imagine you might get from access to this sort of thing. Which is why I kind of like this quote from Henry Ford. You know, he often said, if someone had asked me if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Actually, it was a car. So, you know, if you ask people what they want from their faster broadband, it will be all the things you knew, but faster. Well, yeah, we can do that. So, to sort of put it into context, I would like to take your mind back to 1995. So Bill Clinton was President of the United States. You had John Major was just hanging on in there as PM. O.J. Simpson had just been found not guilty of murder. DVDs had just been invented. I thought they were a bit older than that, but no. Windows 95 had just come out there, and that's quite the important thing, because Windows 95 came out with Internet Explorer as an integral part of it. And Yahoo was launched as the world's first search engine. So, as we know it, or as we see it now, the internet as we know it sort of was born around 1995. Yes, I know it's a lot older than that. It was early, sometime in the 50s it was dreamt up. But as we know it, it was 1995. Back then, in December 1995, you had 16 million people around the world. 0.4% of the world's population had access to the internet. If you fast forward to 2012, you've got 2,405 million people, 2.5 billion people around the world, or 35% of the world's population have got access to the internet. In the UK, access is fairly ubiquitous. They say 85% of all UK people have used the internet. So in that short few years, and let's not forget it's still a teenager, the internet, it has consolidated into this powerful medium that everyone can access and businesses access. It's the main point of contact for an awful lot of people. It's a universal source of information. And to prove my point, Google. So we said Yahoo started in 1995. Google was incorporated in 1998. By 2006, there were 3 billion searches a month. Fast forward 3 years, 37 billion searches a month. Last year, they were having 100 billion searches a month. So the shift from which people are getting their information, how people are understanding the world around them, the businesses around them, finding things and talking to people, is through this thing. I can't imagine how we existed without it, but then I would say that. Facebook. Who's on Facebook? Everyone's on Facebook. Well, actually not everyone, but 1 billion people are on Facebook. But actually, it's half the UK population. 33 million people in the UK are on Facebook. Now, if you get rid of the very young, the people under 13 who aren't supposed to be on Facebook, and the very old, that's almost everybody has got a Facebook account. In fact, I read about 3 weeks ago that 60% of the people who are on Facebook wake up every morning and it's the first thing that they do. So that is where people are finding all of their information. That's where they're finding all of their businesses. That's where they're engaging with people. And this is just becoming the norm. Twitter. It's Twitter's 7th birthday today. Varying numbers on how many people are using it, between 300 and 500 million users. It took 3 years and 2 months for the first billion tweets to be sent by Twitter. They now send 1 billion tweets every 2 to 3 days. 340 million tweets sent every single day. 1.6 billion search queries are done, just made through the thing daily. So people are using Twitter as a search engine. So, and access to super fast broadband will just mean people are doing this more and more. So it's that change. It's how people are moving on in business. YouTube. And then, again, this is another thing that super fast fibre optic broadband will make even easier, is the access to video online. 72 hours of video are updated every minute on YouTube alone, and then there's other platforms you can use. It is the 3rd most visited website on the planet after Google and Facebook. It's the world's 2nd largest search engine. So if your business kind of isn't on Facebook or YouTube or Google, where is it? Because that's where everyone's looking for these things. And then you get phones. There's more smartphones than there is internet users. And when you think that if Bournemouth becomes this pure fibre, well, when Bournemouth becomes this pure fibre network, the wireless speeds and all these other things that people can access through their phones will just mean that there'll be more and more people walking around staring down at their hands. But they'll be looking for businesses, or they'll be talking to people, or they'll be inquiring about things. So this is the impact that superfast broadband is going to have on businesses. And I guess that if you don't take this into consideration, then there's things that might happen to you. So look at Blockbuster versus on-demand and the on-demand services. 23% of the UK population use on-demand video of some form or another, be that Netflix, Love Film, the iPlayer, any of these things. 23% of the UK population use them. Now, at one point, Blockbuster was the market leader in its area. And if it had paid some attention to the things that were happening around it, if it hadn't thought that what people wanted was faster horses, they wanted something else, it might still be around. So it's worth bearing that in mind. HMV, at one point, this is a really sad story, because at one point, HMV was the technological leader as well. I mean, they could have been the next iTunes, or the iTunes. Digital downloads in the UK broke through the billion number mark at Christmas. So it was HMV's refusal or ignorance or blinkered view that that what was happening around them wasn't going to impact them in any way, shape or form that kind of caused their demise. And you can't help but look at someone like Waterstones now. Now, Waterstones were part of the HMV group. They were moved out. I think, I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling they're in administration, have been in administration for a while now. But Amazon took $21 billion over Christmas. Amazon sell more ebooks than they do real books. In June last year, the sale of ebooks across any platform, be them iPads, Kindles or e-readers, overtook real books. So you kind of look to someone like Waterstones and think, what are they going to do? How can they do stuff? But, you know, it's not all doom and gloom. So what's happening is the traditional copper network is being replaced with fibre optic. The copper fibre ADSL used to be able to deliver you speeds of up to 10 megabytes per second, or thereabouts, depending on how far away you are from the exchange. Fibre optics can deliver up to a gigabyte, but on average about 100 megabytes per second. You can turn a page quicker on your Kindle than you can a real book at those kinds of speeds. So, you know, it's quite astonishing, and the time savings and the cost savings that you can get from this sort of thing, and the savings on how much your software might cost or how you engage with your customers is phenomenal through this sort of thing. Or it might even be a catalyst to how you change your business, introducing e-commerce or anything like that. You know, one of the savings that superfast fibre optic broadband can introduce into your business is this thing, voice over internet protocol telephones. So Skype is one of the providers. There are others, but Skype account for 1/3 of all global telephone traffic, and it's free. You know, cross-border Skype to Skype calls accounted for 167 billion minutes last year. This is a free service. You can get paid for voice over internet protocol things. You can get a server, you can get a system set up within your business. But those leased lines that you had, or those BT lines that you had that were costing you a certain thing, the costs of all your calls can come down if you use this. And the way that you can record these a hell of a lot easier. It's free. Video conferencing. So it used to be that video conferencing meant you had to have this huge cumbersome technology, and actually you had to travel somewhere to someone that had some video conferencing, and you had to pray that the person at the other end had the same sort of system so that it might work. So it wasn't great. But now video conferencing is just there on your laptop. This is Google Hangouts. So this is part of the Google Plus social network. This is free. In fact, if you've got a Gmail account or a YouTube account or a Google account of some description, you've got this already. You just don't know about it. And it's free. You can get 7 people all talking all at once, all at the same time. This can mean you can facilitate your meetings quicker. You don't have to travel quite so much. Organising those times when everyone's going to be in the office all at once, don't have to worry about that anymore. You can do it all through video conferencing, and you can do it all for free. And then you got this. This is a really rubbish picture of the cloud. Okay, the cloud just means stuff that's not stored on your computer. It's stored somewhere else. And SaaS is software as a service. So whereas you might have previously bought licenses of Microsoft Office for every computer that you had, and it can become quite expensive, don't need to do that anymore. You can buy software as a service. You can do it as pay as you go, depending on the service provider that you're with. So you can suddenly limit the amount you have to pay for the software you've got to do. You can use services like Dropbox, which is free, Google Drive, which is free, Evernote, which is free, Bitcaster, which you have to pay a bit for, but it's almost free. These are cloud-based storage solutions, so that all of your documentation can be stored somewhere in the cloud, so that if this machine breaks, overheats, you spill coffee on it or whatever, all your stuff's safe anyway, and it's stored cheaply away. And the way these cloud-based services work is they're probably more secure than your computer as well. You know, it's in Dropbox's interest or Google's interest that their security is way, way better than your security possibly could be, because as soon as they're hacked into, that's it. That's their competitive advantage is completely gone. It's blown. So they have to be super secure. So all of these free services are better than the ones you've got that you're probably paying for. And then you've got all your customer engagement tools, all your social networks. As I've said, you know, if half of the UK population is on Facebook and 60% of those are checking it first thing in the morning, and you know, guilty as charged, I'm one of those people. This is how you connect with your audience. And things like Google Plus are even more important, particularly for businesses. So the way Google are starting to change their algorithms is the more people who engage with Google Plus, the better rankings you're going to get in their search engines. And the more people are going to see the work that you're doing. So the more you're using these things, the more it's benefiting your business. So it's not just about reaching customers, it is actually benefiting your business. But it's all very well me saying all of this, but there are actually some case studies, surprisingly. Lush. So Lush, I hope we all know who Lush is. It's a shop. It's the same age as the internet as we know it, born in 1995. They sell handmade products. They've got 850 stores around the world in 51 countries. They've got an e-commerce site, but they sell handmade products. So, you know, those things don't kind of post that well. So their big push is on getting people to visit the shops. Their big digital drive isn't about getting people to buy stuff online. It's about engaging with the customer online to drive them into their physical shop locations. They've got 21 people in their digital team. You know, about 5 years ago it was one person. They've invested heavily in this. They've got 66,000 followers on Twitter. That's just their headquarters. Every shop has its own Twitter account, but their headquarters has got 66,000 followers. They've got 265,000 on Facebook. They've got 500 million followers on the US Facebook page. And all those people are doing, all the digital team are doing within Lush is driving people towards their shops. They wouldn't have been able to do any of that. They wouldn't be able to facilitate that without their access to superfast broadband. The Westover Group. So this is they buy and sell cars. They sell and service cars. This is what they do. They operate from 26 locations across Dorset and Wiltshire. They've got 21 showrooms, 14 different types of cars, manufacturers of cars that are being sold. This is not your very typical digital business. But 2 years ago, they decided to make a change, a positive change, to positively invest in having a digital presence. They invested rather than wait for the BT Fibre Optic, they invested in their own one to make sure that they had access to really fast broadband. They've got an internal team of 7 people. They're about to double that up to 14 people, purely focused on generating sales through a digital means. They run a voice over internet protocol phone system. So that every time someone calls in, it comes with a unique reference number that's pumped straight into the back of their CMS system. So that now and it comes from an internet service provider, so it's got another unique number. Now every time someone engages with them from that number, it's tracked as a legitimate customer. So they follow the entire customer journey, so that they can create a bespoke service for each and every person that comes their way. You know, this is really adding value to the customer at the end of the day, but from their point of view, they can now not only calculate cost per lead, but it's cost per sale to them, so they know where to invest their marketing budget, which is a huge leap that they couldn't have ever done before, because before they were just using traditional magazine and papers. They've recently introduced a live chat, so they thought that, you know what, more and more people are looking for cars after office hours. They're searching online for cars after office hours. So what we want to be able to do is they can email us and we'll respond straight back. So they've got someone there. It finishes. It's supposed to be 24-hour, but it generally finishes about 9, 10 o'clock. There's someone there. You can speak to someone, ask them loads of questions. But by 8 o'clock in the morning, there's someone there in their sales office ready to pick up the phone and call you and start you on their customer journey. And they're doing a lot of services, booking services through this. And what they found by this mechanism is they found customers they didn't even know existed before. These people weren't on their books. But this is because they invested in a digital way of doing business through superfast broadband. Harold G. Walker, this is a solicitor's firm based across Dorset. They've got 5 locations. They are just about to completely switch over now to a fully cloud-based service. So they are making a full switch into a digital offering. They're going to be hosting all of their legal documents in the cloud. They're going to be hosting all of everything that they do will be based in the cloud. All their software, so that they can cut down on those costs. They can cut down on their storage costs. They're introducing the voice over internet protocol telephone system, so that they can cut down on their telephony costs. The speed of authorization is going to speed up for them. For before, whereas they had to get a partner's signature on every legal document, now with the cloud-based and their electronic forms, these are all going to be able to emailed across to people. They're throwing their fax machine away. But not only that, they're closing down their headquarters. They no longer need a standalone headquarters. Their finance team is going to be spread out across the 4 practices. Their admin team is going to be spread out because there's no need now to have them centralised. The centralised bit is in the cloud. So the cost savings for them are the closing down of an overhead that was an office. I mean, this is a huge, huge saving. But not only that, they're speeding up the process, and the savings or the efficiencies that their customers are getting just means it'll drive more business to them, because they're now working in a way that their customer expects them to work in. Much like smart accountancy services. This is a small 2-man operation. It's an accountancy firm based in Bournemouth. They made a decision to launch as a fully cloud-based accountancy service. So they use a thing called Xero, which is a cloud-based accountancy software. But what this means to these guys is they can offer real-time management information to all of their customers. They no longer have to do, if their customers want management accounts or end-of-year accounts, it doesn't take them 2 days to get all the bits together and to work through them and to produce a document. They hit a button. In fact, they'll provide management accounts for free. That's not what they charge for. So the savings that they've made in the time and speed means they've passed it on to their customers. So they no longer charge their customers for the types of things their customers' old accountants might have done. So now they use their customers' investment is advisory services. So they advise them where they can find cost savings. They advise them where the efficiencies are for their businesses. They advise them on how they can change their processes. They do the things that they wanted to do as an accounting firm, but actually, because they were providing end-of-year bookkeeping, they weren't allowed to, because it became too costly for them. So the thing that John Jenkins, the guy who runs Smart Accountancy Service, says, he's getting more and more clients coming his way, because this is how his clients expect it to work. It's the norm to them. They expect things at the touch of a button. They expect things really quickly. And because he's made that change, he's keeping up with them. And he's finding more and more of his clients are coming from a traditional accountancy firm where they've got overheads and processes and people in place that it's very difficult for them to shift this way. And it's a huge, huge game changer for him. And this is all been brought about because of superfast broadband. And they're the kinds of changes that we can see happening now in Bournemouth. When we get this pure fibre network in Bournemouth, we'll be the first town in the UK to have it. These are the sorts of things where the rest of the country is going to be looking at us for the innovations. They'll be looking at us to change business practices. And, you know, I think it's brilliant, but like I said, I would. But where do you go? You know, it's all very well and good me saying all of this and that it's on its way, but where do you get it from? You need to speak to your current service provider, see if they can offer it to you. BT are currently laying the cables around the country. They've got the contract to do that. So the first thing you need to do is go to the BT website. And on the BT website, you can put your postcode in and you can find out whether or not they've put the fibre optic cables in the ground down your street. Once you've done that, if it says yes, you've got them, get in touch with your internet service provider and see if they can offer you the superfast broadband. If you're lucky and you happen to live within the region of Giggler is a Bournemouth-specific internet service provider that have their own fibre optic network. They're offering 1 gigabyte download speeds, which is, you can download the internet overnight, or most of it. £25 a month. That's all it costs. Or if you go to C4L, C4L are a data centre that's based in Westbourne, but they've got networks that go up to London, up to Manchester, through to Bristol, and they've laid their own fibre optic cables. They offer super fast Wi-Fi connections. These are the people that you need to be going and speaking to find out if you can access this sort of thing. But like I said, by the end of the summer, you'll be able to access this sort of thing. So get on the phone to your internet service provider and crack a whip behind them, get them to speed up.
Thank you, Matt, for that excellent presentation. In conclusion, it just falls for me to wind up by doing 1 or 2 thank yous on behalf of Bournemouth Chamber. First of all, I need to thank Bournemouth Borough Council, who funded the series of roadshows that we've presented, and without whose support this wouldn't have taken place. As you'll have gathered from Matt's presentation, Bournemouth is one of the leading digital economies in the UK, and this is something which the local authority are keen to support and to drive forward as a creator of wealth and jobs for the conurbation and for Bournemouth. Their commitment to this has been excellent, and the support they've given has been first rate, and at a time when local authorities face criticism, I think it's right that we should stand up, and when they get something as right as they have here, and when they're as proactive as they have been with regard to the digital economy, we should not be afraid to stand up and thank them for all of their efforts. Secondly, I need to thank Wendy and Leslie, who've actually done most of the work that's led to us being here today and enabled me to just stand up and bask in their reflected glory. Thirdly, I'd like to thank Matt for the presentation. It's now the 5th time I've seen it, and when I started I was a little bit cynical and a little bit jaundiced about superfast broadband, but after seeing it 5 times, there is definitely an opportunity here for my business, and there's an opportunity here for your businesses. And if you go away with nothing else today, just take away the thought that if you aren't going to take the opportunities that this offers, your competitors out there will be, and they'll be working on it now. So take away the commitment that you're going to drive your business forward, you'll take advantage of the opportunities that Matt's outlined, and determined that you are going to be the next Netflix and not the next Blockbuster.